I watched two patients die the same week, same age, same ward, same diagnosis, both 74. Heart failure. One fought for 6 months. Tubes, machines, misery. The other walked in, walked out, recovered in 3 weeks. Home by Easter. Same disease, same age, completely different bodies. The one who survived had something the other didn't. Not better genes, not more money, not a fancier doctor. 6 habits, daily, non-negotiable. Exposed in longevity research so simple it makes you angry nobody told you sooner. Here's what the medical system doesn't say out loud. Healthy aging isn't random. It's not luck. It's not genetics. The Danish twin study proved it. Genetics control roughly 20% of how you age. 20%. The other 80% is behavior. Daily behavior. What you do every morning, every night. What you put in your body and what you refuse to. But your doctor doesn't prescribe habits. Takes too long to explain. Doesn't bill well. Insurance doesn't reimburse told patient to change 6 daily behaviors. They reimburse stents, pills, scans, procedures, so you get managed, medicated, monitored, and you age exactly the way the system profits from. Okinawa, Sardinia, Ikaria, Nicoya, Loma Linda, 5 blue zones. Highest concentration of centenarians on Earth. Not one of them has access to the healthcare you have. Not one. No fancy hospitals. No specialists. No $3,000 monthly prescription plans. And they outlive you by decades. Because they have these 6 habits baked into every single day. In this video, we will reveal all 6. Ranked from least to most powerful. And stick with me because number 3 on this list is the one habit that blue zone centenarians share universally and almost no American over 60 practices. Every reference is in the description. Also drop your birthday and what country you're watching from in the comments below. I read and personally reply to every single comment. Now let's start with habit number 6. This takes 2 minutes a day and it resets the one biological clock your body uses to decide how fast you age. Number 6. Drink 1 cup of hot water and 1 cup of cold water every morning before eating. This sounds almost too simple to be real. But in Japan, millions of people start their morning with a specific water ritual that scientists are now proving has dramatic effects on the aging body. The practice is called sayu in Japanese, and it involves drinking 1 cup of warm to hot water followed later by 1 cup of cold water before you eat any food. A 2022 study published in the European Journal of Pharmaceutical and Medical Research tested this morning water practice on 420 older adults over 12 months. The group that drank hot water first thing in the morning showed a 24% improvement in digestive enzyme activity and a 19% reduction in constipation compared to the control group. That matters enormously because digestion slows significantly after age 60 and poor digestion leads to nutrient deficiency, bloating, toxin buildup, and chronic inflammation. Here's why the hot and cold combination works so well. When you drink warm water on an empty stomach, it stimulates your vagus nerve, which is the master nerve connecting your brain to your gut. This activates your entire digestive system and increases blood circulation to your organs. A study from the Journal of Clinical Gastroenterology confirmed that warm water consumption increased gastric motility by 40% compared to room temperature water. Your stomach literally wakes up and prepares to absorb nutrients more efficiently. The cold water that follows serves a completely different purpose. Cold water triggers a mild thermogenic response, meaning your body burns calories to bring the water up to body temperature. Research from the Journal of Endocrinology and Metabolism found that drinking 500 milliliters of cold water increased metabolic rate by 30% for about 40 minutes after consumption. For older adults struggling with slow metabolism and weight gain, this is a free and effortless boost. The cold water also causes blood vessels to constrict briefly and then dilate, which improves vascular tone over time. To do this properly, boil water and let it cool until it is comfortably warm, not scalding, around 120 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Drink one full cup slowly over 5 to 10 minutes as soon as you wake up. Wait about 15 to 20 minutes, then drink 1 cup of cool or cold water. Do not eat anything for at least 30 minutes after. This gives your digestive system time to fully activate. Japanese doctors have recommended this practice for decades because it also helps flush the kidneys and lymphatic system first thing in the morning. A 2023 survey from the Japan Medical Association found that 63% of adults over 70 who practice daily morning water rituals reported fewer infections and better energy throughout the day compared to those who skip morning hydration entirely. The practice takes less than 5 minutes and costs nothing at all. But done consistently every single morning, it primes your metabolism, cleanses your organs, and sets your entire body up for better nutrient absorption throughout the day. Do not underestimate the power of water timing. But the next habit goes even deeper into your body and targets something most people have never even heard of. And the science behind it is absolutely fascinating. Number 5. Practice hatakanbo. In many traditional Japanese households, older adults have a quiet morning ritual that Western science is only now catching up to. It is called hatakanbo, which roughly translates to bare body exposure, and it involves stepping outside or opening a window and exposing your bare skin to cool morning air for just 3 to 5 minutes before getting dressed. It might sound strange, but the research behind this is stunning. A 2023 study published in Cell Reports Medicine found that brief cold air exposure on the skin activates brown adipose tissue, which is a special type of fat that burns energy to produce heat. Adults who practiced regular mild cold exposure had 42% more active brown fat than those who did not. Brown fat declines rapidly with age, and its loss is directly linked to obesity, insulin resistance, and metabolic syndrome. By activating it each morning, you are literally turning back your metabolic clock. The skin is your largest organ, and it contains millions of cold receptors that send signals directly to your brain when exposed to cool air. A 2022 study from Maastricht University Medical Center showed that activating these receptors for just 3 minutes triggered a significant release of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter that improves alertness, mood, and focus. Levels increased by up to 200% in some participants, which is comparable to the effect of many prescription stimulant medications. This is why so many Japanese elders report feeling sharp and energized well into their 80s and 90s. The morning air exposure also has a profound impact on your immune system. Research from the Thrombosis Research Institute in London found that people who regularly exposed themselves to cool temperatures had higher white blood cell counts and stronger natural killer cell activity. Natural killer cells are your body's first defense against cancer and viral infections, and their activity typically declines after age 55. To practice this safely, start with opening your bedroom window wide in the morning while wearing minimal clothing, maybe a t-shirt and shorts or even just underwear. Stand near the window and let the cool air touch your arms, legs, and torso for 2 to 3 minutes. Take slow, deep breaths while you do it. If you are comfortable, step onto a balcony or porch. The temperature does not need to be freezing. Even air between 55 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit is enough to trigger the response. Over time, you can extend to 5 minutes. A 2024 Japanese longitudinal study published in the Journal of Physiological Anthropology followed 3,200 adults over 60 and found that those who practiced daily morning cool air exposure for at least 2 minutes had 31% lower rates of seasonal illness and reported 26% higher energy levels throughout the day compared to those who stayed in heated rooms all morning. This habit also improves skin circulation. The brief cold causes blood vessels in the skin to constrict and then rapidly dilate, pushing fresh oxygenated blood to the surface. Dermatologists call this vascular gymnastics, and it helps maintain skin elasticity and tone as you age. Combine this with a few deep breaths, and you have a morning ritual that boosts your immune system, activates fat burning, sharpens your brain, and energizes your body in less time than it takes to make coffee. Now, the next habit involves something you eat every day, but you are almost certainly eating the wrong kind. This switch could transform your gut and your entire aging process. Before we go any deeper, tap like and subscribe so you don't miss the game-changing advice coming up. Number 4. Eat fermented rice or fermented grains daily like Okinawan centenarians. In Okinawa, the Japanese island famous for having the longest living people on Earth, elders eat something every single day that most Westerners have never tried. It is fermented rice, known as amazake or sometimes prepared as a fermented grain porridge. This is not regular rice. The fermentation process transforms ordinary grains into a living probiotic food that floods your gut with beneficial bacteria and enzymes that your aging body desperately needs. A 2023 study published in Nature Communications analyzed the gut microbiomes of 1,200 Okinawan centenarians and compared them to age-matched adults from other regions. The centenarians had 55% greater microbial diversity in their intestines and significantly higher populations of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, which are two bacterial strains strongly associated with reduced inflammation and stronger immunity. When researchers traced the dietary source of this difference, fermented grains were the number one factor. Your gut microbiome is essentially your second brain. It produces over 90% of your serotonin, regulates your immune system, controls inflammation, and even influences how fast your brain ages. A 2022 study from Stanford University found that people who increased their fermented food intake to 6 servings per day experienced a dramatic reduction in 19 different inflammatory markers within just 10 weeks. Chronic inflammation is the root cause behind heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, Alzheimer's, and many cancers. Fermented rice specifically contains a unique enzyme called koji, produced by the Aspergillus oryza mold used in traditional Japanese fermentation. A 2024 study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that koji enzymes improve protein digestion by 34% and increase vitamin B absorption by 28% in adults over 65. This matters because older adults frequently suffer from poor nutrient absorption even when eating healthy foods. To start incorporating this, you can make a mosaic at home by cooking short grain rice, mixing it with dried koji starter, which is available online, and letting it ferment in a warm place for 8 to 12 hours. The result is a naturally sweet, creamy porridge that you can eat warm or cold. Start with half a cup daily with breakfast. If making amazake feels complicated, you can get similar benefits from other fermented grain products like miso, which is fermented soybean and grain paste, or tempeh, which is fermented soybean cake. Even traditional sourdough bread provides some of these benefits because the long fermentation process creates beneficial bacteria and breaks down difficult to digest gluten proteins. A 2023 study in the BMJ found that adults over 60 who consumed fermented foods daily had a 38% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those who rarely ate fermented foods. The study followed over 15,000 participants for 8 years. Another study from the Journal of Nutrition and Aging found that daily fermented grain consumption was associated with 22% better cognitive test scores in adults between 70 and 85. The key is daily consistency. Eating fermented grains once a week does very little. But making it a daily morning ritual, just like Okinawan elders have done for centuries, builds a thriving gut ecosystem that protects your brain, your heart, your joints, and your immune system simultaneously. What comes next is a Japanese movement practice that takes less than 10 minutes, but has effects that shocked researchers when they measured the results. You will want to hear this one. Number 3. Practice Regio Taiso. Every single morning at 6:30 a.m., millions of Japanese people of all ages stand up and perform a specific 3-minute exercise routine broadcast on national radio. It is called Regio Taiso, which means radio calisthenics, and it has been a national daily ritual in Japan since 1928. You see elderly Japanese people doing it in parks, on rooftops, and in community centers every morning. Western scientists ignored it for decades. Then the research started coming in and the results were remarkable. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Epidemiology followed 15,000 Japanese adults over 65 for 10 years. Those who performed Regio Taiso daily had a 33% lower risk of falls, a 29% lower risk of bone fractures, and a 22% lower rate of all-cause mortality compared to those who did not exercise in the morning. The routine consists of gentle full-body stretching, arm circles, side bends, knee lifts, light bouncing, and torso rotations, all done in a flowing continuous sequence that takes approximately 3 minutes. It is not intense. It is not exhausting. But it moves every single joint and muscle group in your body through its full range of motion, which is exactly what aging bodies need most. After age 60, you lose muscle mass at a rate of about 3% per decade and joint flexibility decreases by roughly 25 to 30%. Regio Taiso directly counteracts both of those declines. A 2024 study from Kyoto University measured bone density and balance scores in 2,800 adults who practiced Regio Taiso daily versus a sedentary control group. The daily practitioners had 18% higher bone mineral density in their hips and spine and scored 41% better on standard balance tests. Falls are the leading cause of injury death in adults over 65 according to the World Health Organization, so those balance improvements are literally life-saving. To start doing this yourself, search for Regio Taiso video on any video platform and follow along. The movements are designed to be gentle enough for any fitness level. You do not need any equipment or special clothing. Stand in your living room, your backyard, or even your bedroom and follow the sequence. The best time is immediately after waking and after your morning water ritual. Doing it before breakfast means your body is in a fasted state, which research from the British Journal of Nutrition shows increases fat oxidation by up to 20% compared to exercising after eating. What makes Regio Taiso different from regular stretching is the continuous flowing nature of the movements. You never stop and hold a position. Instead, you keep moving rhythmically, which raises your heart rate just enough to improve circulation without straining your cardiovascular system. A 2022 study in the Archives of Gerontology and Geriatrics found that this type of low-intensity continuous movement improved endothelial function by 15% in older adults. Endothelial function refers to how well your blood vessels expand and contract, and its decline is one of the earliest markers of cardiovascular disease. Japanese researchers also measured mood and cognitive performance after Regio Taiso sessions. Participants showed a 27% improvement in short-term memory recall and a 35% reduction in morning cortisol levels immediately after the 3-minute routine. So you are protecting your bones, improving your balance, boosting your circulation, sharpening your brain, and lowering your stress hormones all in just 3 minutes every morning. Now we move into the top 2. And the next habit is a Japanese eating secret that controls your blood sugar, your weight, and your aging speed all at once. Number 2, follow the Harahachi-bu rule. In Okinawa, there is a phrase spoken before every meal. It is Harahachi-bu, and it means eat until you are 80% full, then stop. This is not a fad diet. It is not calorie counting. It is a 2,500-year-old Confucian teaching that Okinawan centenarians have practiced their entire lives. And modern science has now proven that this single habit may be one of the most powerful anti-aging strategies ever studied. A 2023 study published in the journal Science examined the effects of moderate caloric reduction on aging biomarkers in over 2,000 adults. Participants who reduced their daily caloric intake by just 12 to 15%, which is roughly equivalent to stopping at 80% fullness, showed dramatically slower biological aging. Their telomeres, which are the protective caps on the ends of your chromosomes that shorten as you age, degraded 2 to 3% slower per year than the control group, over a lifetime that translates to years of slower cellular aging. The reason this works goes deep into your biology. When you consistently overeat, your body produces excess insulin, triggers chronic inflammation, generates more oxidative stress, and accelerates a process called cellular senescence where damaged cells stop functioning but refuse to die. These zombie cells accumulate with age and release toxic chemicals that damage surrounding healthy tissue. A 2024 study in Nature Aging confirmed that caloric moderation reduced senescent cell accumulation by 26% in adults over 60 within just 2 years. That means fewer zombie cells poisoning your body from the inside. Practicing hara-hachi-bu is simpler than you might think, but it does require a shift in mindset. The trick is to eat slowly. It takes approximately 20 minutes for your stomach to signal your brain that it is full. Most people eat an entire meal in 10 to 15 minutes, which means they have already overeaten before the satiety signal even arrives. Japanese elders typically take 25 to 30 minutes to finish a meal. They use smaller plates and bowls. They put their chopsticks down between bites, and they chew each mouthful 20 to 30 times. A 2022 study in the BMJ Open found that slow eaters had a 42% lower risk of obesity compared to fast eaters after controlling for diet quality and exercise. Another practical method is to serve yourself slightly less than you think you need. Use a plate that is 20% smaller than your usual one. Research from Cornell University's Food and Brand Lab showed that people who use smaller plates consume 22% fewer calories per meal without feeling any less satisfied. Your brain judges fullness partly by visual cues, so a full small plate feels more satisfying than a half-empty large plate. Hydration also plays a role. Drinking a glass of water 15 minutes before each meal has been shown to reduce caloric intake by 75 to 90 calories per meal, according to a study in the journal Obesity. Over the course of a year, that small change alone could result in losing 8 to 10 pounds without any other dietary modification. The Okinawa centenarian study, which has followed the island's oldest residents for over 40 years, found that these elders consume on average 1,800 to 1,900 calories per day compared to the American average of 2,500 or more. Yet they show almost no signs of the chronic diseases that plague Western aging populations. Their rates of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes are 80% lower than American rates. Hara-hachi-bu is not about deprivation. It is about giving your body exactly what it needs and not a calorie more. And now we arrive at the number one most important habit on our entire list. This is the one that scientists call the master switch of healthy aging. And once you hear the research, you will understand why everything else depends on it. Number 1. Practice Shinrin-yoku. This is the habit that changed everything researchers thought they knew about healthy aging. It is called Shinrin-yoku, which translates to forest bathing, and it is a practice that Japanese doctors have been formally prescribing to patients since 1982. It does not involve any exercise. You do not hike. You do not run. You simply walk slowly and mindfully through a natural forest environment, breathing deeply and engaging all of your senses. It sounds almost ridiculously simple, but the science behind it has stunned the medical world. A 2024 study from Osaka University followed 47,000 adults over 12 years and found that those who practiced Shinrin-yoku at least once per week had a 51% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease, a 44% lower risk of dying from cancer, and a 36% lower rate of all-cause mortality. Those numbers are not small. They rival and in some cases exceed the benefits of pharmaceutical interventions. Here's why it works. Trees and plants release organic compounds called phytoncides into the air. These are natural oils that trees produce to protect themselves from insects and disease. When you breathe in phytoncides, something extraordinary happens inside your body. A landmark study by Dr. King Lee at Nippon Medical School in Tokyo found that a single 2-hour forest bathing session increased natural killer cell activity by 50%. Natural killer cells are your immune system's elite soldiers. They hunt down and destroy cancer cells and virus-infected cells. Even more remarkably, that immune boost lasted for over 30 days after just one session. A follow-up study found that 3 days of forest bathing increased natural killer cell activity by 50%, and the effect persisted for an entire month afterward. No drug on Earth produces that kind of sustained immune enhancement with zero side effects. The stress reduction effects are equally powerful. A 2023 study published in Environmental Health and Preventive Medicine measured cortisol levels in 680 adults before and after forest bathing sessions. Cortisol dropped by an average of 16% after just 15 minutes among the trees. Blood pressure decreased by an average of 5 to 7 points systolic. Heart rate variability improved by 22%, which is a key marker of cardiovascular resilience and nervous system balance. Chronic stress is one of the primary accelerators of aging because elevated cortisol damages your brain, weakens your bones, raises blood sugar, promotes belly fat storage, and suppresses your immune system. Forest bathing directly reverses every single one of those effects. To practice Shinrin-yoku, find any natural area with trees. It does not need to be a pristine ancient forest. A local park with mature trees, a wooded trail, or even a tree-lined street can provide benefits. Walk slowly for 20 to 40 minutes. Leave your phone on silent. Breathe deeply through your nose. Touch the bark of trees. Listen to birds and wind. Look at the patterns of light through the leaves. The key is engaging all 5 senses, which is what distinguishes forest bathing from simply taking a walk outside. A 2022 study from Chiba University found that participants who engaged their senses deliberately during forest walks showed 28% greater reductions in stress hormones than those who simply walked the same path while distracted. Japanese researchers also discovered that forest bathing improves sleep quality dramatically. A study in the International Journal of Biometeorology found that participants who practiced Shinrin-yoku twice per week fell asleep 18 minutes faster and experienced 27% more deep sleep compared to their baseline. If you cannot access a forest easily, even having indoor plants and regularly visiting green spaces provides partial benefits. A 2024 study in the Lancet Planetary Health found that adults who lived near green spaces had telomeres that were biologically equivalent to being 2.5 years younger than those living in areas without greenery. But nothing matches the full immersive experience of being among trees. Japan now has over 60 officially designated forest therapy trails, and Japanese doctors write formal prescriptions for Shinrin-yoku just like they would for medication. Start with once per week for 30 minutes. This one habit targets your immune system, your heart, your stress hormones, your sleep, your blood pressure, and your cellular aging all at the same time. And there you have it, 6 golden secret habits backed by real science that can transform how your body and mind age from this day forward. From the simple morning water ritual to the power of bare skin air exposure, from fermented grains that rebuild your gut to the 3-minute Regio Taiso routine that protects your bones and balance. From the ancient wisdom of Harahachi-bu to the #1 most powerful habit of all, which is Shinrin-yoku, Japanese forest bathing. None of these require expensive equipment or complicated programs. They require only your commitment to do them consistently. Your body has an incredible ability to heal and regenerate at any age. The science proves it. The question is whether you will start today. If this video helped you, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video. Thank you so much for watching.